you know who's going to know the answer to this is the guy that we're going to bring on right now, Justin Kinney from Outside the Huddle and fellow 1380 The Fan gentleman with us here tonight. Mr. Kinney, how are you
evening,
doing?
gentlemen. We're doing well. How about yourself?
Well, we're just trying to make sense of some of the craziness that happened this past weekend and talk a little bit about the sectionals that are upon us. And we just talked with Coach Dorfler from Leo, who may have one of the toughest sectionals to go through than anybody. That sectional, not just Leo, but that sectional in general, may be the toughest sectional around because not only do you have those NE8 tri champions in there, but you also have Bishop Dwenger in there. So that sectional is crazy.
Oh yeah.
And
guys. It's if there was, a sectional of death, so to speak. And I can tell you this, guys, in talking to coaches in that sectional, nobody wanted to draw Wayne. Nobody wanted Wayne, first off. And talking to coaches in the NE8, particularly in the NE8 with teams like New Haven, East Noble, Leo, nobody wanted to draw Wayne. Dwenger gets that assignment coming up, and now it's a Wayne team that they hope to get Harold Mack back at some point, maybe as soon as this weekend, which would be huge for them to go to Bishop Dwenger. But that sectional is just it's crazy. It lines up well, at least for Leo, in which two of its primary foes in the NE8 play each other in East Noble and New Haven. And then they only have to go to Southside. But remember, what was it, 2016? A 7 or 8, 9 win Leo team just got absolutely thumped in the playoffs by Southside. So by no means the Lions need to overlook that game against the Archers next Friday.
No, absolutely right. These, when you get to this part of the year, everybody's going to have their A game. Southside is taking their lumps on the year. They had some, finally found the win column here of late. But like you said, Leo better not be peeking ahead to that East Noble New Haven game or Southside could creep up on them real quick. What was your overall take of the year here in Northeast Indiana? Be it the SAC, Northeast State, ACAC, just overall football in general in Northeast Indiana for this season?
Well, a couple of things stand out. I think you look at the SAC, the first year of the division format, and I thought it worked as intended. It was supposed to give teams in the SAC an opportunity to step out of the league and play a couple non-conference games, whether it was big state powers for the top teams or teams in which the lower tier teams could maybe get a dub or two before they head into the SAC season. So I think it served its purpose in the SAC. I think they need to work out a couple things in terms of communication on how everything works out in the SAC. And I'm sure we'll talk about that here in a second. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think it did what it was intended to do. And then in the NE8, guys, I mean, if we're talking about a league in the area that is as exciting week in and week out, I know so much of the attention in the city is to the SAC, and I get it. But there is no league in the area, guys, that's as riveting week to week to week as the Northeast 8. It's been that way for the last couple of years, and it delivered again this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could look at the standings there that dude has on the screen, and you can see that what is that, 7-8 teams there, all of which probably could have beaten one of the other, if they had home and home series all year long, because it is so much of a competitive balance league. And we've seen that some in the Summit Athletic Conference as well. But I think over the last 2 years, it's been a very intriguing NE8, more so than it has ever been.
No, I agree. And maybe the biggest thing is there's not one team that's clear cut above everybody else. And I think that's the biggest thing is East Noble's good, Leo's good, New Haven is good. But there's nobody that everybody's chasing at the top. It's kind of like dog eat dog in the NE8. And you had that last year, of course, with Columbia City, but you never felt Columbia City was good enough that they were clearly going to beat everybody. They really had to work and
Right.
earn it last year. And that was the case again this year. Unfortunately, we got a three-way tie at the top, but it's almost fitting considering how close those three teams were all season long.
Well, I'll say this, and then you can pipe in here. East Noble, to me, the game that we had against them with New Haven a couple weeks ago. Now I know Mylan Graham was in the game due to injury. That said a lot of it. But East Noble's offensive line may be one of the better ones in Northeast Indiana that I've seen. Now I haven't had the pleasure of watching Leo in person this year, but East Noble up front are big. They can move the pile well. And they showed that against New Haven rather easily 2 weekends ago.
No, I mean, Leo has been able to do that to several teams. I watched him do it to Bishop Lures, or East Noble, excuse me. East Noble was able to do it to Bishop Lures in week 1. And there's nothing more demoralizing, guys, you guys know, than knowing your team is going to run against you and not being able to stop it. And I watched that in week 1 with Bishop Lures, and it was basically what East Noble was able to do to New Haven a couple weeks ago. And I'm sure we'll try to do it again coming up next Friday. But I agree with you, Shannon, in terms of the physicality, in terms of the strength, in terms of the get off the ball and the initial push and the leverage, all of that stuff. East Noble's offensive line is phenomenal. And when you can block, when you can open up holes, when you can protect your quarterback, then it allows you to do so much in your offensive scheme. And we've seen that the last several weeks with East Noble. I mean, even when they played Leo, you felt that they were in that game, of course, that 14-7 game, and you felt like they did a lot of good things.
Right.
And so you look back at these top 3 teams and you say, man, if East Noble, Leo play again, it could go a different way. Of course, Leo and New Haven, that could go a different way. So we get at least 1 rematch, and we'll get maybe 2 if Leo can get past Southside. So we're not done by any means with these NE8 teams beating up on each other.
Certainly not. Justin Kinney joining us here on Upon Further Review from outside the huddle, and Caleb and Kenny in the morning on 1380. Back to the SAC Friday night. What happened? I mean, from a media perspective, and I think a lot of the coaches and a lot of the ADs, probably even up until that, thought come Friday night, we're probably going to see, if Homestead beats Lures, we're going to see Lures, Snyder, and Carroll walk away with co-champions. They even tweeted out on the Carroll Twitter page, and then an hour later, oh, we're not champions after. Where was the breakdown? What has happened all season long that we got to the end of the regular season and we really weren't sure who the conference champions actually were?
Well, guys, I talked to a couple coaches through Friday night into Saturday and all that, and talking to them, and even talking to some coaches during the regular season. And none of us really understood. Nobody really saw there was no release by the SAC that said this is how this is going to work. I think internally there was something there, and some coaches had it, and some coaches knew it, but not every coach and not every AD was aware of what was going on. So on Friday night, you had certain parties at Carroll thinking they were co-SAC champions. Other people, and Doug Dynam being one of them, understood that they were not co-SAC champions. I think the biggest thing that this comes down to, guys, we're all married guys. It's all about communication, right? That's what the SAC is missing from the top down, is this needs to be thoroughly communicated to all ADs, all coaches. Everybody needs to understand, and then, of course, get it out to the media so we can all understand it.
Yeah.
So we're not sounding like idiots, because we don't need any more help with that than we already have. And so that's basically where we're at, guys. It was, I understand that the bylaws were made. It clearly stated what was going on. It's just the lack of communication, presenting that to the people that needed to know was not there.
From the division standpoint, do you think they got it right? I mean, do you like Lures? I've said Northrop shouldn't be in the A division. That's my personal thing. From a landscape of the way it's broken up, do you think that aspect of it is right, and what teams are where?
Eric, it's interesting. I have no problem with the division format. I like the fact that the SAC has 2 non-conference games. Okay. It's what we've been wanting for a long time. So you knew if you got that, then every team wasn't going to play each other. But my issue is you look at that A division, B division, guys, and you're looking at the arguably the four most consistently good teams are in the A division. Okay. You got Snyder, Homestead, Carroll, Dwenger. You could flip and put Bishop Luers over there. You could flip and put Northside over there. But the point of the matter is they aren't balanced divisions. Okay.
No.
Let's be real. And so if they're not balanced divisions, then you really can't have division champions. It's almost like separating the Big Ten into the top 6 teams in one and the 6 teams in the other. It's not even. So my issue is if we're going to crown champions and have the division champions, then if they don't play, you crown co-division champions, then that's an issue because you have the majority of the best teams in the A division. But this is not to take anything away from Bishop Luers. They played the schedule that was presented them. They only lost one time, and within the rules, they are co-SAC champions. But I don't understand how you split the divisions in the way you do and then say the divisions are even, because they're not even, okay? You have the top 4 programs arguably in your entire league in the same division. So they're not even. And that's my biggest issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think too, according to the release that went out from Fort Wayne Community Schools and the commissioner, Adam Swinford, who has also switched schools since becoming the commissioner, there was, not even division champions to begin with. So I think part of it was too the aspect of the head-to-head within the division, but you don't have a division champion. But then 2 people from the same division can't be champion because of the head-to-head and all of that. But it's been an interesting thing, and I think we'll look at it going forward and tweak it. Meanwhile, real quick, ACAC, Adams Central, they left no doubt from week 1 and and week 1 of
Since
last year, and week 1 of the year
2015.
before. I mean, they continue to roll. Are we going to see a 4th straight state championship matchup between Adams Central? Well, not 4 straight from the ACAC. Adams Central and Indy Lutheran again. We'll say. Are we going to see that again? Is that kind of the expectation we think in Class 1A? Is that a good
Definitely looks
assumption?
that way, guys. I mean, Lutheran looks powerful again. Adams Central does. Think about this if you're an Adams Central fan or if you're Michael Mosier, okay? So you've gone to the state championship game 2 times in a row. You could potentially go there 3 straight years. It will lead then to you getting bumped up to Class 2A, and you may have to face then Indianapolis Lutheran in 2A. You could conceivably lose 3 straight state championship games to the same team and get bumped to 2A with that team.
There you go. Not lost in that. Great year for Heritage again. I mean, they just fall short because of Adams Central, but another great year. They're going to be good in the sectional, that 3A sectional with Concordia, Woodland, Garrett, and Belmont. I mean, I think they can do some damage there. They've had a good year with Casey Kolkman in that group.
Yeah, they have it. It's great to see. I mean, Casey Kolkman, you guys know, one of the best dudes to deal with in this area. Has done a great job at Northside, did a great job at Bluffton. Now he's working his magic at Heritage, and Kobe Meyer has been a tremendous asset to that team. But it's just a culture-driven renaissance, resurgence, so to speak, for Heritage, because that team was down with, it was Belmont basically is where it was, and the right guy came in at the right time and started slowly making changes. And I think if anything, you look at that and you say, patience. And I've talked to Coach Kolkman about this, is you can cut corners and you can keep guys that are really good but don't fit with your culture. And in the short term, it's good, but in the long term, it hurts you. Those are tough decisions to make, especially in a world, guys, where we're instant gratification type people. And you always have people breathing down your neck about wins and losses. Shannon, I'm sure you could talk about that ad nauseum. But that's what Casey Kolkman could have said, yeah, we're going to keep some certain players and do certain things and turn this thing around really quick, but maybe not have that strong foundation. He's been able to build that strong foundation, has a great staff with him, and now it's a Heritage team that's seeking its first sectional championship in over a decade. And it was a team that we knew they'd be good, but guys, I don't know if we expect them to be second in the ACAC good, and they've been able to do that. And kudos to Coach Kolkman and his staff and those kids. Been a great year. And Heritage has as good a shot at it as any, as you said, dude, in that 3A sectional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's going to be, outside of this bye week, I guess you could say, for the 6A and 5A groups, um, you know, Heritage, I like their possibilities of making a run. You can never throw not Belmont, but Bluffton out of the equation either, because they kind of did that a year ago. That's kind of when they caught fire, was in the tournament. I think Snyder's got a chance. Of course, we know that's with limits, because when you get to the semi-state, that's when everything kind of hits the fan in terms of who plays who. But I do think Adams Central's the best possibility of getting someone down to state this year. But only time will tell. But I do have an answer for you on the Summit Athletic stuff, and I've been an advocate for this for at least 4 or 5 years. They need somebody that's in the central office that all they do is athletics. They are the commissioner, the overall AD, the schedule, whatever that is, so that everybody answers to one person and one person alone, because these ADs that have multitude of things to do during the day on top of the principals cannot handle the amount of coverage that high school sports is receiving nowadays like they did 30 years ago. It's not possible. You can't do it. And I know there's been many people advocating this approach over the years, but it's never gained traction with the Fort Wayne Community Schools. You think now it may get some traction with having somebody that's at the central office that can be that person that has the answers for A, B, C, and D, or, however the winter tournaments ran in basketball, or, all these things that go into the area when it comes to high school athletics.
No, I love the idea, Shannon. I really do. I mean, one issue though that the SAC does have, I don't know if it's an issue, but you have to get other schools on board, is only half of your schools in the SAC are Fort Wayne Community Schools.
Right,
so,
right.
But if Carroll and Homestead and Dwenger and Lewis and Concordia are like, yeah, great, then they'd be on board. But I do think that that it's needed. At the very least, and Wendy Robinson did a lot of great things, superintendent, lead superintendent, but didn't care much about athletics, and that was fine. She did a lot of great things, and was my principal at Price Elementary School back in the day. And but the new superintendent now at Fort Wayne Community Schools has put a little bit more onus on athletics and the importance of athletics for our young kids in the city. And I think now taking that next step and having somebody in charge fully of the athletic programs, even just the 5 Fort Wayne Community Schools guys that all the ADs report to at the central office, would be absolutely phenomenal. So I think it's a great idea, and maybe we'll see it here in the foreseeable future.
Well, yeah, I think they've gone that a little bit. I know Virgil Tharp has been in, and that's somebody that some of us know that maybe not all the viewers would and listeners, but I think there's always room for improvement and change. And I think, after what we've seen this season, they will certainly probably all sit down and at least evaluate, okay, where we were. But I think as a whole, most of the AD, I mean, they approved it. The ADs and the principals, they seem, this is what they wanted. This is what they've got. And now you have to sort through the back end where kind of things happen, where you're deciding on a Thursday, okay, this is what we mean by this rule. Oh, by the way, now we got to go tell Carroll this. And it's like, and the media has no idea. And so those ADs hate Saturday morning calls from us too. So I think it's one of those things where it's, I think it'll play out, because it works in other conferences. Because the alternative is you could do the NECC stuff and just count the divisional games, which I've never understood either, because it's like, what a mess that is. But anyway, so, but I think they've got a good start to it. And I think, it's bore out that it was week 4 and week 5. It wasn't like, oh, this team's already the champion. So, there you go. So, well,
Right.
Justin, we appreciate you coming on tonight and joining us in Upon Further Review. And we look forward to your coverage and outside the huddle. And of course, you and Caleb in the morning, Caleb and Kenny in the morning, every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 on 1380 The Fan and 100.9. Thanks for joining us, Justin.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Love the show. Keep it up. We'll see you around. All right.